Are you ready for positive change and how that can come about more quickly, easily, effortlessly, even just in so many wonderful ways versus it having to be so hard? So change does not have to be so hard. And sometimes it may seem that way, and sometimes it may actually be that way. And we can actually learn to respond to it differently as well. So I've got something that I would like to share with you all. So just come on in. And this is something that came about recently over the past few months. I've been kind of playing around with it, seeing how things are going, and I noticed things were changing. And so I'd like to share a little bit of that story with you if you haven't heard it already. And also just some other things that have come about as far as from practicing that, but also from other people and them noticing changes from that. So we're actually going to kind of encourage you to play around with something a little different, and yet is so easy and simple that it's just like, wow, how can that actually work? But it does. It seems to actually work even better than most things because it is so simple and easy. And so we're going to get into that as well. So welcome. Come on in. And all right, so we're going to talk about, first of all, how recently, in the past few months, I've been playing around with something a little bit different, and it may not seem so new, but the application of it may be a little new or different than before. So let's talk a little bit about that first of all, and then we're going to talk about all the wonderful things that happen with this and from this, and possibilities and positive change that can come about, especially there's just so many possibilities that we're just touching on just the surface here, because there's no telling how this can have a positive impact, not only for you, but for others as well. Okay, so, all right, so a few months ago, I just had this weird feeling that there was just something else, something different, something that I could do, or I don't know. I just knew that there was something that felt a little unsettled at the time. And I got just a pure, clear message that I feel like, because it was so unconditional and unlimited and universal, so there's a bunch of you words there, and it just, there just wasn't anything else to it. It was just so simple, and I was just like, okay. So I started playing with it, and the words came to me very clearly. And I know that these words came because it was words that I was familiar enough with, that sometimes the universe, that pure loving source, whatever that is for you. But for me, it's just a pure loving source. Sometimes I call it God. Sometimes it's the universe. Sometimes it's just as simple as that pure loving source, because it really has no name. It's just people give it a name. So I was playing around with these words that I received. It came through just so clearly, and I felt just a yes with it. There was just this yes that came with it, but then also this, oh my goodness, thank you. So that's when I knew there was something with this, is because it was so pure and simple, and there was no instruction manual necessarily. There was no conditions. There was nothing. It was just so simple. And so I started just like playing with the words, because like I said, they didn't come with really an instruction manual. And I was just like, okay, loved and blessed. There's these words, and what do I do with them? But then it just kind of, this clarity came about around them, or with them, from them, whatever. And it was like, wow, so there's this yes. So I felt like there was this alignment with these words. And like I said, these were just words that I maybe was familiar enough with, and they felt really balanced, loved and blessed. And then there was this alignment there, like this, the pure loving soul that says yes. And then this pure loving source, whether that be God or creator or the universe, it is not specific to any religion or beliefs, none of that stuff. It's just pure and simple. So yeah, I was just like, okay, so I'm feeling a yes, and I'm kind of sensing a yes, and I'm hearing a yes, and I was just like, okay, there must be something to this. And so I played with the words, and I started feeling things differently, started seeing things differently, hearing things differently, just that overall perspective and perception, changing in a wonderful way. And it just seemed more easy and effortless and just free and just kind of flowing, like going with the flow versus, and it's kind of, it was like a path of less resistance. I'm not going to say it's the path of least resistance, because I don't know what that is, but it is a path of less resistance. So I really like that as well. That just kind of came in even this morning. It was just like the less resistance. Absolutely. So yeah, so I started to just play with that. And after I did it every day, something I just felt inspired to use that, to play with that every day and throughout the day as well. And so I was just like, and I would just say those words, loved and blessed, and I would just say yes and thank you. And it can turn into a wonderful experiment, because after that, I felt like, and I started noticing things changing, because I was just like, I'm not going to give up on these words. I'm going to keep going with them, because I feel inspired to do so. I didn't feel like I had to or needed to or anything like that. I just felt inspired to do so. So I was just like, there's such a something with this that I'm just going to keep playing with it. And I did. And I started noticing things changing. And then I was just like, I wonder if this would help someone else. I had no idea. I didn't know. And so I did. I shared it with a few people, and they've started noticing changes. And because it really is foolproof, like you can't go wrong with it. You can't do it wrong. It can cause no harm, and it is only helpful. Only helpful. And before that, all the techniques and modalities and all these things that I'd learned and tried and all these different things, there was not one, even meditation for me, 100% of the time, like 100% of the time, didn't feel comfortable for me. Like didn't feel, or I wasn't comfortable with it 100% of the time, always. And so, but when I added this in, it's like it changed everything. It changed everything. And so yeah, so I just wanted to come on here to see if anyone was kind of up for an experiment of sorts, but it's more of a fun experiment. So it's like I said, you can't go wrong with it, and it can do no harm, and it is only helpful 100% of the time. So to me, that in itself was such a relief to be able to play with something like that and then notice changes. But not only me noticing changes, but the people that I've shared it with noticing changes. Wonderful changes. I know some people are, they don't really like change, but this is to something wonderfully different. So it's not scary. It's not scary change. It's more of a, oh, wow, how wonderful is this change? So who's up for that? So let's, and if you know of someone that can benefit from something like this, and I'm going to be answering questions here in a minute, but if you know of someone that can benefit from this, which it works for anyone, anywhere, doesn't matter. The good, the bad, the ugly, it doesn't matter. It can help. So you can start to say this, loved and blessed, or you can think it, or you can just play with that, have just somehow, and it's something that just is. So it's so pure and simple, and it just is, that you don't have to hold so tightly onto it, because no one can take it away from you, and you can't lose it. It's always there for you. Always. No one is excluded. There are no conditions. It's unconditional. It helps anything, anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad, right or wrong. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. that's how universal and unconditional it is. And wow, I was just like, this answered so many of my prayers or my questions, and it opens up and the way to, or just, it just opens up so easily and more naturally, this, in which is more of like a universal truth, like it's a pure truth without conditions and all this other stuff, because it is unlimited as well. So let me check in and see who is with us here today. All right. Hi, Carla and Cindy and Karath. Hello, hello. And Kathy's here. All right, Sue is here, and Pam. And Belinda is here. Hello, hello. And Tony is here. All right, so does anyone have any questions about it? And Karath is saying, when the roller coaster ride becomes a harmony ride. Yes, absolutely. Okay, yeah, Pam says, I always say thank you when I ask. Yes. And so this is, you're dealing with a pure loving source that already knows. So a lot of the asking kind of starts to fade away as well. Not that you can't ask or anything like that, but it's like a lot of the questions that you may have had just naturally get answered, or, the truth just becomes more clear and evident anyway. So, yeah. So that's another interesting thing. So, yep. So if you have any questions, Karath is saying, I noticed an energy boost with peace and harmony. Awesome. So if anyone else has heard of this, like I said, I put it out there a couple of weeks ago, and just in a YouTube video, and I've just asked a question or so on Facebook, but also, like I said, I was on Spirit Sessions last weekend on Sunday, so I will put the link to those in the comments after this video so that anyone can go there and watch those as well. So some of the things that I would like to just kind of briefly go over while you're asking any questions or whatever, just put them in the comments. And so, all right, so some of the things that when I asked what happens when someone or something is loved and blessed unconditionally, that was just a question. I asked a few people just to see what kind of answers people put out there. And an answer was, it grows in beautiful ways. And someone had commented transformation. And someone had said, you feel lighter, you expand, you grow, you're able to move forward. Yes. And so the next one was, they start to love themselves and love and bless others unconditionally. And someone else said peace and security. And another one was, they experience their magic that was always meant to be. So yeah. So loved and blessed are just words, like I said, that I received, that I kind of was familiar enough with, that the universe said, okay, here's these words, and here's some of the possibilities with it. Like, the more I played with it, it was just kind of like, it just became clear as to some of the many possibilities. Because imagine your future, or your life, your path, your journey, whatever that is, whatever you want to call it. Imagine that being loved and blessed, how that can change. How positive change can come from something being loved and blessed. And so the illusion is that if there's a thought or a belief or an idea that something's not loved and blessed, the illusion is that that pure loving source is not always there for you and with you and a part of you and all these other things. And so these things become more clear, so you start to feel more safe and more loved and more blessed. But also, any resistance that you might be carrying around, whether that be in the form of beliefs or emotions or just energy, whatever it is, conditioning, programming, whatever, starts to resolve more naturally, but also easily and gracefully. A lot of people will say, with ease and grace, and then they're like, well, where's the ease and grace? Well, this helps with that. That ease and grace is there. And more so, you start to experience that more and feel that more and notice that more, and things start to shift and change, not only for you, but you start to notice things shift and change around you as well. And yes, it can be a perspective change, but it's also energy. So much, everything has an energy to it. And so it's just like it's amazing what it has that ripple effect. So it starts to change, and you can play with it out here. Like you can say, this is my stuff, whatever that is, wherever that is in the universe, because the universe, that pure loving source, whatever that is for you, is always there. It's omnipresent. It's everywhere and every when at the same time. Okay. And so what happens when you start playing with, okay, this is my stuff. And what happens when my stuff is loved and blessed? And you don't have to, have that directly within you at first, but you can even play with it out here and just each day. And I found that the people that are noticing more changes are the people that are playing with this every day, not the people so much that are saying, okay, I'm just going to say loved and blessed, and I'm going to be too busy to play with this from now on. But the people that are choosing this every day, because what happens when you choose it once and then you go on about your business, but then you keep choosing the same old as before, you just start to get back into those, and things start to shift back to that. But it's still loved and blessed. So there's still that loved and blessed there. It's just that you may not notice it as easily as you would if you're playing with it every day. At least at first, until it really starts to set in, and then it just becomes, because it really already is, but it becomes more so that foundation in which you truly have there for you. But the foundation that you've built for yourself over this lifetime, even that, though, it doesn't have to be judged like, okay, this is good or bad, positive, negative, this or that. It doesn't have to be labeled at all. It can just be loved and blessed, and therefore it starts to transform. It starts to, things get transmuted, and it's, like I said, more easily and gracefully, because you're playing in this field, or in this, with this, these words, the universe, you're saying yes to loved and blessed daily, and it can't help but to change things, and change things to be more positive. That's the reason why I named this, and I actually called it, a positive change, is because some people don't like change, and that's fine. That's great, because even that for them can be loved and blessed, and therefore it will change, because change happens anyway. It's when you're resisting change that you notice issues and problems more often. So even that starts to kind of, there's that flow that kind of comes in with that. So let me check in with the comments. All right. Okay, let's see. Okay. Deborah's here with us, and Brian. Hello. Okay, so Kirath is saying, I had a sad start to 2021 with the passing of my parents. So sorry to hear that. Condition was mixed, but with acknowledgement of being loved and blessed, I have gained strength to move forward. Awesome. And Brian's saying, you cannot create nor destroy energy. Exactly. So, and Judy is here and says, it's always there, but you activate it when you call it in. Absolutely. So this is something that is so available for anyone, anywhere. It doesn't require like some type of download or attunement or anything like that. It's free. It's free to anyone. But when you start to play with it, like Judy said there is that like an activation. There is that saying yes to the universe. Because you're playing with it and you're saying, when you're by doing that, you're saying yes. And I like to use that word play because it doesn't seem so much like work. But if you like work, have fun working with it then. But it is not required to work with it so much. So it's not like there's no pressure with it. Like that's the thing, is it's just so pure and simple. There is no pressure. And you can't go wrong. So why not try something like that? So like I said, I encourage you to experiment with this, even for, I know when I was on the show on Sunday, they said like a 30-day experiment. Because like I said, I after a couple of weeks, I was kind of like, I'm not sure if this is really helping anymore, but I just kept with it. And then I continued to notice changes. And so, but I knew things were changing anyway. But because I didn't give up on it and I continued to play with it and work with it and or experiment with it or whatever you want to call that, it's like, things start to change. Your life can't help but to start to change when you're playing with this loved and blessed. Like I said, these are just words that I use. If you have better words that are pure and simple, please use them. But if you like these words, and most people seem to like these words, so use them. Use them. So it can only help. It can only help you, and who knows what type of ripple effect that's having. And by you maybe sharing that with someone else. Imagine a child learning something like this. Because a lot of people that I talk to, and I had a lot of phone conversations with people, a lot of video chats with certain people, and just shared it with them and just said, here, play with this and see what you notice. Don't go just by what I say, because I what do I know? But so share it with other people or try it for yourself and see what changes. Because imagine, like I said, your stuff, whatever, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, your whatever. Some people say that those go into like a field or go to the universe or go to these records, these Akashic records, maybe. I don't know. But it doesn't matter where they go, because wherever that is can be loved and blessed. So there is no right or wrong answer to that question, because that may be different for different people, and that's okay. That's great. So it doesn't matter. It's universal and unconditional, so it will work on whatever that is that you believe in. And so loved and blessed. Why not? And you can even add that yes, or you can add that thank you. So what if you ask the question, and what if a child, even if you started sharing this like with a child or children or whatever, wherever, who are you? And instead of having all these labels and all these things, which there's nothing wrong with those, but as far as who they are, because the labels are just things that you do or things that you get to, whatever. But like a teacher, for example, it's a label, but it's something that someone does. It's not necessarily who they are. A doctor is something that they get to practice medicine and help people. And yes, that's a label or a title or whatever, and that's great. But it's also that's something that they do. It is not who they actually and truly, purely are. And so what is that? And so some people go through this identity crisis because they don't know who they are. And especially when they start to try to, connect and do the spiritual, and which, like I said, everyone is already connected. The illusion is that you're not. And so, but there is it. When you change the connectedness and you don't even know what that's to, and that can cause all kinds of stuff. But what if that connectedness is to a pure loving source versus something else that you may have heard or believed or thought or whatever, and that's fine. So it just starts to help with all of these things. It just eases all that up so that it's not, it's totally okay. It's a beautiful thing. And yes, you get to play with it. And so it's wonderful though. So who am I? And what if the answer could be as simple as loved and blessed? What am I? What if the answer is as simple as loved and blessed? Yes, thank you. And so it really starts to take the pressure off of these other things that you may have thought you were, and that's fine as far as all that stuff. And so, yeah, and it just becomes more clear. And you don't have to give up anything. You're not trying to get rid of anything or clear this or that or the other. No, by just being or just saying that loved and blessed or playing with that or however you want to do that, these things start to just change more naturally. You don't have to figure all this stuff out. The answers are already there. It just becomes more clear. So let me check in with the comments here. Okay. Cindy says, I can use it as a static remover. Any static, she uses the loved and blessed, and it kind of reroutes, she says. That's cool. Or evaporates without any further involvement. Absolutely. Just saying loved and blessed feels good, someone says. Yes. So yeah, so those are just some of the things. So what are the possibilities? Like, what have people noticed that is changing? And I'll go through just a list of some of the things, but imagine though in the universe, which is all encompassing, right? Where, loved and blessed. And like I said, I like to kind of swirl my hand around sometimes. I don't have to. It's just one of the many ways that I play with it. Imagine all your stuff, wherever you want to imagine it. Pick a spot, any spot. It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong spot. It's just a playful thing to do in this moment. So just pick a spot. Sometimes I'll just do right here above me or right here or right here. It doesn't matter. Pick a spot. And we can play with this just for a minute right now. And so just pick any spot you want. And just imagine just whatever you've put out into the universe. How does that law of attraction work? All you hear about all these things, creating and manifesting and all these things. But imagine how all that can simplify and change. And when you just say, okay, wherever that stuff is, whatever it is, loved and blessed. Imagine karma is a good one that most people are familiar with. You hear people talking about karma. However that works, I don't really, I'll tell you, be honest with you, I don't know exactly how the universe works, but I do know that this seems to help. So yeah, so imagine though, whether it's good or bad, right or wrong, doesn't matter. Whatever you've put out into the universe that's maybe on its way back to you in some way, shape, or form, I don't know, loved and blessed. And that, you're choosing that. You're saying yes to the universe with that. The way I look at it is the point of creation. It can be described by using those words if you would like, loved and blessed. And then where everything goes back to is loved and blessed, wherever that is, the universe. So everything in between truly is. The illusion is that it's not. And so yeah, so this just helps with all that to be very clear, or at least in a way that is best for you, because it's going to work, because there's this amazing pure intelligence, whether that be God, source, creator, the universe, pure consciousness, whatever you want to call it, Christ consciousness, some people even say, whatever, you want to call it, there's intelligence there that knows so much more than I do, and so much more than, people out there. But it knows in a way, though, it knows what's best for you too. And where people like, well, what about this and what about that? And a lot of the past struggling and suffering that came in was from resisting that in which truly is. And which is fine, because some people learn that way and grow that way, and that's okay, but that can change now. Do you see how that can change? With the loved and blessed, it starts to change. Positive change, wonderful change to something wonderfully different. So is that helpful? And if you have any other ideas or questions or comments, please let me know. Deborah's saying such a beautiful concept. Absolutely. And what I love about it is that it's so pure and simple. And because there's, like I said, no conditions and all these other things to it, isn't it like a pure truth? Because you're not saying, oh, well, loved and blessed if this, this, and this, or loved and blessed only when this, this, and this. No, you're saying it's loved and blessed anyway. And so in any questions or what ifs or, well, what about this or what? So if you notice your mind starting to, or maybe some thoughts come in about, well, what about this? And or trying to take it somewhere else, you can actually just bring it right back to nope, pure and simple, loved and blessed. Yes, thank you. So yeah. So that's that. And also, so let's get to a few things that have been mentioned. And I would love if you were to share this with other people. However, if you just want to share it with them word of mouth, if this video or a YouTube video that I've posted, I'll put the links in the comments, or the Spirit Sessions one, whichever one you feel like sharing, or just share it based on your own experience. But I see this as being kind of like a ripple effect or a pay it forward. And so that way people can just pass it along, because it doesn't belong to anyone. And it's free, it's not like copyrighted or trademarked or anything like that. It really is so pure and simple that it's for anyone and everyone and anywhere. And so yeah. And so let's go to the list here. So someone had said when they started, they didn't feel or think the way that they do now, so that their thoughts and their feelings have changed in a wonderful way. And they are so much happier and calmer, and they feel more like there's this compassion and understanding for them. And then someone said that when they use it when they're cooking, that they notice their foods taste different, or if they're making tea or a drink or whatever, it tastes different. It tastes better. And their plants are blooming, like their house plants that haven't bloomed for years are blooming. And I know from my own experience that usually I don't do so well with, or haven't in the past, with house plants. Usually they don't live very long in my house, because I either overwater them or I don't water them enough. But I've had some now for months that are thriving, they're doing great. And so someone had said that their memories are just that. They're just memories. They no longer feel or seem like real in a way that was maybe hurtful before. So like their triggers and things like that have started to resolve. We'll use that word, because they're even those are loved and blessed. You're not saying, oh my gosh, I got these triggers. And even that, just, you don't even have to think about them for them to be loved and blessed. Another thing that happened, someone had noticed, and without even thinking about these things, so there was no intention here other than just playing with the loved and blessed, things just started changing naturally. And with without a lot of or any resistance really. And so like their skin started to change and they started to look and feel younger. And even someone had a few moles on their face that fell off, some moles that they had had since they were a child, since childhood, fell off, like they just came off. Their moles just came off. And they didn't even say, okay, these moles are loved and blessed, and then they came. No, it just happened. But it was such a wonderful thing. And like I said, it didn't harm anyone or anything. And they said that their past is no longer a dark place. Wow. Isn't that wonderful? And they sleep better. They said it's calming for them and the people around them as well. They're more grounded and playful. They have more laughing. They laugh more. So these are just some of the possibilities. Now, there's going to be different experiences for different people. And some people may notice something right away, and some people, it may take a little longer. I don't know. All I have to say is play with it and see what happens. You can't go wrong with it. But also don't give up on it either. Because imagine you changing things or, and saying yes to the universe and then stopping and then going back to the same old. Well, then you're going to start creating more of that possibly, or recreating or whatever. It won't be exactly the same because it's been loved and blessed. But when you continue to play with it, though, you continue to notice changes. And it only takes a couple of seconds to say, loved and blessed, thank you. And you can do that throughout the day. And the more you play with that, the more it'll just become more natural just to play with it or just to know it or just to feel it or just to do whatever with it, which is fine. Okay. So let's see. Someone is saying, this is on your YouTube. Yes, it is on YouTube as well. Absolutely. Belinda says it's the same with plants. Thank you for this great idea. Yes, absolutely. Deborah saying she got goosebumps. Yep. Someone saying, Karath is saying, we are loved and blessed to have a unique frequency to connect to the universe for our betterment. Absolutely. And that's the thing, is it's already there for you. It's just that maybe before you didn't know how to apply it, or you didn't have those words to play with, or you didn't know that was possible to do this, to play with this, that this was actually true. But what happens when it becomes not only the truth, because it is, but when it becomes your truth? Imagine your foundation in which your life and your experience is based upon. When all that is all kind of doom and gloom or fear and sadness, for some people, that's a lot of their experiences get based on that. But what happens when even that is loved and blessed? And especially when you're saying, okay, loved and blessed anyway, not only the good things and not only the bad things, but all of it. Amazing things. Your foundation, that foundation is loved and blessed. So of course your experiences and the way you feel and see and think and hear and all these other things is loved and blessed. So it can't help but to change for the better. Of course. It just seems so like, oh yeah, now. But to be honest, not that long ago, I don't know that I would have said that. But had I seen someone out there saying, okay, yes to this, and wow, look at all these wonderful changes, and this is so pure and simple, and it's free, and it's, I don't have to pay for it, and it doesn't take long to do, and it's not a lot of work. I mean, I would have been all on that. So I'm what a blessing that this came along. And it's not just the words, but it's how you can play with them and apply them, and what are the possibilities from this, and just a different perspective. This is the change in perspective. This is the change in perception that changes everything. So of course there's positive change from this. Absolutely. And what a blessing that it's foolproof and that anyone can do it. Oh, geez. I think that's just a wonderful thing. So, yep. All right. So someone is saying that they have, like they've been experiencing some health things like shingles or something like that. So absolutely. What happens is your health becomes loved and blessed. It can be loved and blessed. So it's going to change for the better. I don't know when. I can't say when or how, none of that, because you're leaving it up to this mysterious, wonderful, loving universe. And that's okay, because you're choosing loved and blessed. You're playing with that. You're saying yes to that. And you're saying thank you for that. And if you don't feel that right now, that's okay. That feeling that you don't feel that yet, that feeling, loved and blessed. So no matter what so there are no excuses, because even if you have an excuse, that can be loved and blessed. So that can change too. You see how that works? So, yep. Okay, any other questions, you can put them in the comments. I will also be going back and answering some from time to time that maybe, or you can message me. Send me a message on Facebook, or you can email me. I'll put those links in the comments as well. Okay, so you can message me here on this page. You can comment on this video. You can email me. But also, when you play with this and you start to experiment with this, message me what changes you start to notice, because how wonderful would it be to have a list of, and it can be anonymous. It doesn't have to, we don't have to say it was you. But imagine having like a collection of amazing things that have happened because you practiced this, or because you experimented with this, or because you played with this. Imagine having that. So just like, these other people that have let me know some things that are changing for them. Imagine having that, so that I can do other videos, and because that can inspire someone else. Oh, wow, these things changed for them. And it wasn't just because they did this, or just because, they are this type of person or whatever. No, it helps anyway. So not just because this person meditated 10 hours a day, did they, notice changes. But imagine adding something like this to a meditation. Imagine your meditation being loved and blessed. So like I said, you don't have to give up anything, and you're not really losing anything in a way that you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to give this up in order for this to work or for this to help. Things just start to just resolve on their own, or just naturally, more easily, gracefully. And it's just a wonderful thing. And I also, the other thing that I use it with, just playing with it sometimes, is when you're breathing, you breathe anyway. I mean, hello, you're here watching this, you're obviously breathing. So imagine every breath you take. And even if you just want to do a breathing exercise for like a couple of minutes or something like that, every time you breathe in, loved and blessed. Every time you breathe out, loved and blessed. Thank you. You don't have to say that every time, but you can play with that intention if you would like. Even if it's just while you're playing with it, just loved and blessed. Breathe in and breathe out. And then with that sigh of it's like a breath of fresh air, because even the air is loved and blessed at that point, but really always. So, but it can seem more so in that moment too. So yeah, so that's just a beautiful thing. And the YouTube video that I did, we actually go through a breathing thing where and we'll do that here in just a minute if you would like. And so But someone even fell asleep to that and woke up like 3 hours later and felt great. And so, and it was with her and her husband as well, by just doing the breathing. So why not? So, and then some people it just depends, because I feel like the universe, that pure loving source, knows what's best for you at any given moment in time. It's just that some people don't always know that, or allow that, or whatever, or they're just so against it, maybe because they've been into all this other stuff, and that's fine, because even that stuff is loved and blessed and can change. Change happens anyway, so why not make it loved and blessed? Okay, so let's do a quick breathing thing. So what I do is I just will just take a few deep breaths in and out. We can do that here together if you would like. And the intention for this moment is that, and really you can make it for any moment, is that, because you can't go wrong with loved and blessed. So just pure and simple, loved and blessed. And then there's just this gratitude, there's this natural, just automatic thank you. So let's take a deep breath in and out. And you can breathe in and out as fast or as slow as you want with this. We're just going to take just a moment to breathe in and out. There is no right or wrong way to do this. We're just breathing. Very simple. And I'll just say, loved and blessed. Yes, thank you. Breathe that in and out. And if you want to add like a little, even just a little tiny smile, that's just an added bonus if you want. It's not necessary. But it can really, it is a little uplifting with that too. So in and out, breathe. Deep breaths. Okay. And it can be that simple, just taking a minute or two out of your day, just here or there. Amazing. Amazing what can happen. Yep. Okay, so how does that feel? Does anyone else feel like a yes, or maybe just there's a knowingness of a yes that maybe that's true, or true for you? Because I believe, because it is so pure and simple, of course it's a universal, just a pure, simple truth. And that's just a word to describe it, of course, but yes. Like I say, even if you want to ask that question, you don't have to, you can use it as an affirmation or a mantra each day if you want, if that feels good for you. Otherwise, you can maybe occasionally just ask that question, loved and blessed. Ask that question, who am I? Loved and blessed. And you can say, okay, that pure loving source, is that true? Yes. You're going to get a yes. There's no pure loving source that's going to say no to that or to it being described as that, or that being possible words to describe it for you, because it's that and something even better. But those are amazing words to start with that. Loved and blessed. Yes, you can't go wrong with that. So definitely try that. Play with that. Whatever. And pass it along. Pass it along. You can use this video. You can use the YouTube video. You can use the Spirit Sessions video. You can practice it, play with it yourself. Notice what you notice with it and pass the information along, just word of mouth or whatever. Whatever works best for you. So let's see. Belinda is saying, yes. Karath is saying, I got this and can handle it. That's what he's feeling. Yes. It gives you this, and what it's doing is, though, there's this faith that comes in the way of, it feels like kind of like confidence, but in a more loving way. There's this confidence because there's this, yes, loved and blessed. Yes, that means that there's this pure loving source that is there with me always. And whether you feel that or know that yet or not, it will become much more clear for you the more you play with this. Okay? So, like I said, wherever you're at, it doesn't matter where you start. Start now and see what unfolds. Like I said, the way in which and the how things change for you may have previously been in a way that wasn't so pleasant. And that's okay, but that can change. Loved and blessed. It changes it. And it's not to say that there won't ever be anything bad or wrong that happens, but those types of things would happen less often, or maybe your reaction or response to them or how you deal with them will be different, wonderfully different. So there are no guarantees with it, but it can only help. It can only help. So I encourage you to play with it and to let me know one way or another, if you want to what happens, what changes for you, what you've noticed. A lot of people, the Spirit Sessions ladies, there was Rhonda and Bex and Teresa, they all played with it for like 2 weeks before I actually came on their show, their podcast, or it's called Spirit Sessions, A View of the Light. I'll put the link to the video in the comments. But they all played with it, and they felt like what they noticed was that things seemed to resolve much more quickly and gracefully. Bex had said that the resistance to things, to change or to things resolving, or in how they resolved, or how things just seemed to work out a little bit more pleasantly or positively or better or whatever. All that was just wonderfully different. And Rhonda, similar things with her. She was just saying that it was, it changed things, and things just seemed to work out much more easily. And they all felt just lighter. They all felt like, even Teresa, some anxiety that she had felt and experienced before was changing. And she didn't feel that same way. So Susan is here saying, what a great message. Thanks for the reminder of how loved and blessed I am. Yes, and how you can use that to change, to have positive change in your life. And wow, like I said, changing things for not only anyone and everyone, but imagine children, though, starting to use that and play with that, and starting to believe that, which is more of a truth, over maybe these negative things about themselves or others or whatever. Wow, it can change in their entire life. So absolutely, send that message out, share that however you want. There's no obligation to do so, but wow, what a wonderful thing that you get to, if you want to, or feel inspired to do so. So I hope this was helpful for you all. All right, so let me just check right in here. Yes, Kathy's saying YouTube link, please. Yes, I will put it in the comments. Kathy's saying also, wow, for children. Yes. Imagine how different their future will be, being loved and blessed. Wow. And Bob is saying, how do I change to be happy? It will happen naturally by playing with this. That is just a wonderful bonus. I was going to say side effect, but who knows where that would go. But it's a wonderful, wonderful bonus. The happiness will be there so much more easily and naturally and effortlessly. You won't have to try so hard to be happy and to feel happiness because of this, all these conditional happiness. That conditional happiness gets loved and blessed, and therefore there's less conditions and more just happiness as just a natural state of being. Wow. See how simple it is? That can be the answer to these kinds of questions. How do I be more happy? How do I feel more happy? Because a lot of people, that's what they think that they have to do all these things and have all these things to feel happiness and to be happy. And that's great. You can use those things as long as they are useful for you. As long as they are beneficial for you, that's great. Like I said, this isn't forcing you to give up anything or to lose something. None of that. It's just a more natural process because it is a true state of being in which is the foundation in which you were created upon. The you that is actually you, and all the other stuff gets loved and blessed and just changes, and you don't have to know all that stuff. So he's saying that would be nice. Absolutely. So play with this. You have no excuse because it is free and it only takes a couple seconds to do it. Just do it throughout your day and just notice what you notice, however that is. And you don't even have to notice it for it to change. So that's not a requirement or a condition. It's actually it'll just reveal itself. It'll be more natural like that. So yeah. So do all of that and play with that. It's not a heavy thing. In fact, any heaviness around it, like I said, just go back to pure and simple. And because when something is loved and blessed, it goes from being like really tight like this to more like that. And sometimes even at night, if you feel like you're carrying stuff around from your day, just kind of like, I'll just kind of like do this and just kind of hold it out there. Okay, universe, loved and blessed, please and thank you. Just play with it in so many different ways. And then, like I said, if you feel like doing so, if you feel like it would inspire others, please share with me through email or message or whatever, how it's helped you and worked for you. And how it's, changed things in a positive change. Because, it can only help. Okay. So I will see you all again soon. Thank you all for joining me. And I will put all those links in the comments here. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put it in the drop-down description underneath the video there. Okay? So thank you all. I will see you all again soon. I will check back in with you. If I get enough comments or enough people experimenting with this and then sharing their experiences and the positive change from it, I may come back on and share those with you. So feel free to let me know if you notice anything or if you know of someone that has anything to share. That would be great. Okay? So I will see you all again soon. Have a wonderful day. And just remember, who am I? Loved and blessed. What am I? Loved and blessed. Yes, thank you. But just play with those words, loved and blessed. And I will see you all again soon. Thank you.